Here we are. Welcome, everybody. So excited to see you all here tonight. This is the Integrative Wellness and Development Podcast. I'm your host, Mike DeLuca. I'm incredibly excited and grateful that you're here to join us. We have a really special show today. I've been waiting to do this for many years with our special guest. And the word special is not special enough to describe her. As we get into the conversation, and if you've had a chance to read her biography on our Facebook page, you'll see that she is a certified superwoman. I have not met anyone like her. I'm not sure there is anyone like her on any country, planet, or dimension that I'm aware of. But she is incredible. She is strong. She's a warrior. She has an immense knowledge about not only health, natural health, personal development, exercise, physiology, strength and conditioning, but she's also an accomplished actress, stunt woman, advanced martial artist. She's involved in the production and distribution of a number of and promotion of a number of incredible films and shorts, and there's not enough time for me to tell you how amazing this person is. I met her. It's 20 years now. I met her 20 years ago. I think, and she introduced me, and we were working on a project for a partner of Chuck Norris's, and someone who had worked in a number of films with Bruce Lee. And that's where I got to meet her and just had my mind and everything blown away by just all the incredible things she's done and is involved with. And I want to just, if you haven't had a chance, I want to just read a little bit about her biography to you from our website here. Our guest tonight, and she is a very special guest. I am so lucky to have her on this show. As you know, this is the Integrative Wellness and Development Podcast. This show is an independent show. We are not affiliated with anybody or anything. We have no sponsors. You're going to be hearing some very important information about your health and well-being, but we are required to say that in no way, shape, or form does the guest or does the show attempt to diagnose, treat, or prevent any type of illness or any type of condition. We recommend you seek the help of someone who has had the training to help you. But the person who is going to be speaking to you today, she has incredible credentials. She's written an amazing book. We'll talk more about that. So I want to tell you a little bit about our guest, Spice Williams-Crosby. Dr. Spice Williams-Crosby, she has more letters after her name, than, alphabet soup has letters. She's a doctor of natural health sciences. She's an author. She's an award-winning martial artist, fitness expert, actress, stunt woman, producer, and entrepreneur, right? She's lived a boring life, right? She has more plates in the air than the entire fleet of Delta Airlines at mealtime, and I can certainly attest to that. Her decades of helping patients turn their health and their lives around, plus her groundbreaking book, Are You Sure You Want to Live? Because Dying is So Much Easier. It gives you kind of a little bit of a, hint about her sense of humor. Dr. Spice Williams-Crosby, MHS, MS, PhD, is a doctor of natural health sciences, award-winning martial artist. I told you all that good stuff. Her decades of helping patients turn their health and their lives around, plus her groundbreaking book, Are You Sure You Want to Live? Blah, 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 have changed lives and saved lives all around the world. She has served as a nutritional expert, writing for magazines such as Ms. Fitness, Natural Muscle Magazine, and World Black Belt. As an actress and stuntwoman, she has appeared in hit movies like Clint Eastwood's Million Dollar Baby, Sylvester Stallone's Reach Me, Star Trek IV, From Dusk Till Dawn, The Guyver, A Simple Plan, The House, and Terminator Genesis. And that's just a short list of all the stuff she's done. Television appearances include Roseanne, My Two Dads, Women in Prison, Mama's Family, The Bold and the Beautiful, Step by Step, The Smart Guy, Diagnosis Murder, Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and Scrubs. And not only is she well qualified to help you kick disease out of your body, but she has earned advanced belt ranks in a wide variety of martial arts, including Arjacampo, Eskrima, Israeli K-pop, security defensive tactics, and Gika. She'll tell you more about all that stuff. She's also produced and starred, and this is really important and very close to my heart. She produced and starred in a special television series to help women prevent and survive life-threatening attacks, abductions. The series is called I Fight for My Life. I'm going to show you the website a little later. She was also honored by being chosen to pose for a 30-foot bronze statue where she represents the past, present, and future female athletes of the Olympics. It is my great honor and my great pleasure to welcome to the show Spice Williams-Crosby. Spice, thank you so, so much for being with us tonight. Welcome. So excited to have you here.
Well, thank you, Mr. DeLuca, for asking me. And I was just looking at, where'd you get all that information on me?
I am quite the researcher, which is what this show is all about. This show is about what I love to do is I love to research and I love to learn, and then I love to share what I've learned with the people I love, and that's my audience and my guests, my family. And that's what this show is about. It's not about money because we don't make any money. We don't have sponsors. We don't sell anything. But I do want to promote the goods and services of my special guests because they are so valuable and important for you to know about. So as a result, we have a bunch of copies of her book that we're going to be giving away to people in the audience. A lot of the folks were kind enough to share the information about the interview tonight, and as a result, they're getting free books. And so, Spice.
I just want to say I'm very much like you because, first of all, I'm extremely dyslexic and extremely ADHD. So all my books, I have a whole office full of all these medical books and nutritional books. And you can see it looks like somebody bled all over because I take red pens and green pens and everything. I have to underline everything. And in the process of learning, let's say, the subject of that chapter, I would see, oh, there's a word. I don't know that word. Then I got to go look it up. And then that leads me to something else. And that leads me to something else. I love researching so much that I take myself out of the world and I got to bring myself back in. And sometimes I can't get right to the point. But that's what too much research will do for you.
Well, you have an absolutely fascinating timeline that actually makes a great deal of logical sense, which is scary. But
show me the logic, please.
Yeah, no, but I mean, there is a logical progression because you've experienced some very, very traumatic life-changing health situations and personal situations that caused you literally to get on your knees and look for help from somewhere outside yourself, and then dedicate yourself to changing your body, changing your mind, changing your health, changing your soul in order to survive. And, it's funny, it's not funny, but, the title of your book, Are You Sure You Want to Live? Because dying is so much easier. For those of us who face that situation of just how hard it is to get and stay healthy and alive, there's a lot of painful reality into that. So could you tell us a little bit about, because your journey makes sense. I mean, you have the trauma, or you have the challenges. you move into changing your body, you move into exercise, you change your diet, you get involved with the martial arts, and then you become a stunt woman, and you just all of these demands that cause you to go from limitation to being unlimited. You freed yourself from limitations from every aspect a human being can look at. So tell us about that.
Well, I I never really looked at where I was going. I mean, all the, you want to make God laugh, tell him you got a plan. So I look back now on some of the most tragic things that had happened to me. And I almost can justify and understand, oh, that I didn't see that left turn coming up, but God sure made sure I went on it. And then as I'm coming back, I'm like, oh, that's what you meant. But I grew up in North Hollywood. I have a twin sister. I had an older sister and an older brother. And when you're born in Hollywood, anyway, as twins, you're born with pigtails and tap shoes on. So showbiz hit right away. And my mother hated showbiz. She didn't want to have anything to do with it. But my twin sister and I sang. I played piano. She plays guitar. We sang, and I got all involved in the music groups. And my father had an incurable disease when I was 8 years old, and he wound up killing himself. At the same time, I had two aunts and two uncles that killed themselves. So it was pretty interesting when Gregory, my husband, and I were going in for our amniocentesis when I was pregnant. They asked me, what's any suicide in your family? Yes. And then the doctor said, "What about you, Gregory?" And he goes, "Yeah, my dad killed himself." It's like it doesn't run in families. Trust me, suicides don't run into families. What runs in families is a lack of connection, your spiritual alignment with God, Jesus, and your desire to be connected with the authority figure. But after the suicides, then my twin sister and I were actually kidnapped and locked in a house where we were molested for several hours. And when we broke away, we wound up going to court, putting the man away for life. I guess I think he died in prison. But there were a lot of things that take place. Now you talk about PTSD. When you're 8 years old and you're sexually molested, and somebody says, "Why did you let him do that?" Well, he was 60 something years old. He was the authority, you know, and, respect your elders. So to be an 8-year-old girl and say, "No, you're not supposed to do that, sir," it was totally lost. And I went through many years of hearing, "Why'd you let that happen? You must have wanted it to happen," yada, yada, yada. And then the school that we went to didn't want my twin sister and I to play on the playground because they associated us with doing something bad. So a lot of that piled on over the years. And I actually, when I was 17 years old, my boyfriend was driving and we got broadsided in the middle of a intersection. I went flying out of the car 30 something feet. And in those days, it was a Volkswagen. If you remember those Volkswagens, this is like 1968 or something. They had a little handle that looked like just a little piece of metal. And then we had these funny things that came over and we're supposed to belt them, and it always wrinkled my dress. I didn't want to wear a seatbelt. It was like, I don't want to do that. I'm 1 block from my house, and boom, T-boned, and I went flying out and hit my head. And when they picked me up, they took me to the hospital, and I died on the operating table. And I remember every minute of that. I remember totally feeling my chest. I couldn't breathe, like somebody was sitting on my chest. I pulled out and I went to the ceiling and I looked down and I went, wow, that's pretty cool. It was just like, look at that. There's a doctor. Look at all these people running around. Wow, that's me. Look at that. And then I thought I could get a better look over this side. And before I knew it, I was there. It's like I didn't move. I was boom, boom. And that's when I went, oh my God, I'm just energy. I have no body now. I'm just energy. And little by little, I started to morph around the corners and all the sharp edges started to fade. And the light got lighter and lighter and brighter and brighter. And I saw silhouettes of people and children and animals. And the first thing I thought of, oh, I'm in Catholic school. Mother Aloysius told me that animals don't go to heaven. That's not true. They're right here. So I'm already in an arguing mood. And so next thing I heard, I think my mom screaming or something. Anyway, I slammed back into my body. Oh, well, I did. I went towards the light, the light, the light, the light. And there were these spiritual entities. I don't know how many, but the one in the middle was the brightest. And we don't have lips, we don't have a body. It's just energy communicating. And I was told, you're not going to die. You were in a bad accident. And you're going to go back. Now, knowing my personality, I normally would have negotiated this deal. I would have said, well, now, wait a minute. I have to go back for how long? But I didn't. I think I knew at that moment I better keep my mouth shut and just go along with the program. So I was like, okay. And next thing I knew, I was back in my body. I opened up my eyes, closed them, and I was in a coma for 6 days. And while I was in a coma, the doctors and nurses came in. I had IV, crisis, EEGs, EKGs. I was wired to the hilt. I heard the doctor say, well, if she lives, she'll either be a paralyzed or be a vegetable. Okay, I have been a vegan for 50 years, so maybe I did turn into a vegetable.
Different kind of vegetable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I was not paralyzed. And I do remember being in, this is what I think is important for your audience. I do remember being in that coma and everybody talking to me, family members, doctors, everything. But I felt trapped inside my body. And I
Yeah.
kept saying, this is stupid. Get me out of here. I couldn't move. I was trapped in that envelope of flesh. And when people would leave the room, I wanted to experiment leaving my body again. But there's a lot of weird stuff that goes on because I was 17, not nearly knowledgeable of what I know now. But one day, finally, my mom sat on the bed and hugged me and kissed me, and she goes, "Oh my God, you're awake!" And I said, "She goes, you've been in a horrible accident." And here's the interesting thing: I look back on all this stuff every now and then when I'm out running, and my mind goes back to not a trigger but a memory. I didn't know anything about health, really. I was born and raised on a ranch. I rode my horse to kindergarten. We'd pick plums. I'd put them in a basket, and then I'd ride them down to the egg ranch where we'd swap out plums and eggs. But my mom was introducing things like wheat germ and stuff, but I didn't know anything about health at all. But there I am, waking up from a coma, and they said she hasn't eaten for a week. We need to feed her. And they brought me in chicken fried steak, mashed potatoes and gravy, jello. They don't know anything about health, nutrition. It was outlawed in 1923 by Dr. Morris Fishbein, the president of the AMA. He said, nutrition, only drugs and chemicals. So they don't know anything about that stuff. And I took one bite and just threw everything up. And of course, I was loaded with blood. That came out. So that must have been, I'd like to see that for a scary movie. But anyway, they said, you have to eat something. I said, I can't eat this. My stomach, my guts, nothing is available. Make me a protein shake. And they looked at me like, what in the world is a protein shake? I didn't even know, Michael, what a protein shake was, but
It just came.
it just came out. And
Wow.
and that's when I said, I don't know, take a blender, because I know you got a blender, put some milk, eggs, and some fruit in that, and blend it up, and I'll drink that. And that's pretty much what I lived on until I could actually start. They had to get me walking again, and I had intermittent amnesia off and on for 2, 3 years. But I, I look back on that like, where did I get the idea of having a protein shake? And then you see that my direction went into health, nutrition. How can I heal myself? So that was kind of the beginning, the start of a new road, kind of a new life. And I mean, I did go through as a young girl 5 suicides in my family. My 2 aunts, my 2 uncles, and my dad. And it's not that you get used to that, but I'd come home and somebody'd be crying, and I go, oh, who killed themselves? And it's like, oh no, no, Uncle Bo died naturally. I go, oh, okay, that's good news. But you, as a child, as a servant, even in PTSD for these soldiers, they're they're taught and rehearsed and driven to repeat actions for purpose. And their purpose, if it has to go out to protect someone, go out to shoot someone, go out to do whatever you do, you are so programmed to do that, that when the injuries come upon you, uh, you um, you really don't have those skills. To it's like short circuiting an android. It's like, whoa, that wasn't supposed to happen. So so anyway, I mean, I went through a lot of that stuff. So my PTSD graduated itself into the use of drugs and alcohol. Of I love speed. I was not a downer. I didn't like Quaaludes, Libriums, pot, and all that stuff. I liked the speed, the cocaine, the black. In my day, there were black beauties. If anybody's out there listening and they remember that age, one black beauty would keep you awake for a week. The truck drivers used them to drive through town and town and town. And I would wake up. I was on the road then as a musician. I would wake up with 5 black beauties, a pot of coffee, a bottle of Sambuca, and that would be breakfast. And but my body started getting used to it, and I had already accomplished the evasive technique, where somebody asks you certain questions, it's like, yeah, it was no big deal, no big deal. Moving on, moving on, and it does catch up with you, though, Michael. I will tell you that you cannot shove all your emotions under the carpet and expect for them not to rear their ugly head. That's a pretty naive thought process.
So then what got you to continue to investigate how to help your body and how to get healthier instead of hurt your body? What was the pivoting moment that led you to want, like you became vegan? There were a lot of very powerful changes you made in your health. You took up martial arts, and how did that all happen?
Well, it's interesting. I'm really grateful to talk to you right now because you're showing me things about myself that I didn't kind of realize that I didn't plan on anything. Uh,
Yeah.
I just went through, let's see, the first drug and alcohol overdose. That was pretty interesting. The second one was brutal. Tequila. I can never to this day smell tequila. And then the third one was in my when I lived in Las Vegas, because I had my rock and roll group with my twin sister called Sugar and Spice. We were like an early version. Well, we were like Earth, Wind, and Fire. And
Yeah.
her husband played, I have some of the records that we did. And we were way ahead of our time at that time in the 70s. We toured for about 10 years. But I was a functioning alcoholic and drug addict. I functioned. I even went out horseback riding and camping and roping and doing all kinds of crazy things. But I had my booze and drugs. You can be functioning at that point, but you're not progressing in life or health. So my third drug and alcohol overdose was in my condominium in Vegas. And I had a wonderful friend. His name was John. He was renting one of the rooms there. And he'd come home because he worked the casinos. And he'd come home and he'd go, "Hey, I got some Chinese food. You want this? You want that?" Anyway, I had already taken some drugs and alcohol. And he goes, "I got some Coke." And I said, "Oh, okay, let's do that too. As long as you got it, let's do it." And then we ate, and then more drugs came into it, and more alcohol came into it. And I wound up passing out, which all three of my my overdoses, I always throw up. So I guess that saved my life. And then I passed out, but John was there to save me from vomiting and choking on my vomit. And then 3 days later, he was still there watching my side as I woke up, crawled out of bed, crawled along the floor. I can still remember that shag carpet, and crawled into the kitchen. And I pulled myself up. I remember grabbing the top of the stove and pulling myself up. And I looked up at the air vent where I was totally convinced God lived. And I said, "What were you trying to tell me in the light?" And he said, I had something important to do. I had to go back to my body. What were you trying to say? And at this time, I'm really really wanting to know. I'm frustrated. And then a voice came out of me. I don't know if anybody's ever experienced this, but a voice came out of me that I had to look around and go, "Who the hell said that?" I said, "All right, God, here's the deal." Me negotiating again. "Here's the deal. Help me turn my life around, and I swear I'll be an image that changes the world." And then I looked around and I'm like, "Oh my Lord, I can't take that back. Once you say that, you cannot." I didn't mess around with those words. I made a direct order, and I'm like, "Oh, I'm screwed now. I just committed." You can't uncommit to God, Jesus. Well, I'm gonna spit in his face and like, "Just kidding." I realized that was the end of the road. I realized I asked God for help. That was it. I have a painting of a guy walking through the snow, coming to the edge of a lake and the sun shining, and his hands are up like this. And it's that simple. He's asking God for help. I asked God for help. That was a personal life. I give it up. Please help me turn my life around. I swear I will be an image that changes the world. And me looking around like, who said that? But it didn't sound like it just came out of me. So I went back into the living room and crawled on that shag carpet over to the corner where the turntable was. And I put on a record, and it was Kenny Loggins' "Please Celebrate Me Home."
Oh, yes. Beautiful song.
Oh my God. And I just started sobbing like I thought home was Vegas or Los Angeles. No, "Please celebrate me home," to be with God, to be with Jesus, to believe, to be surrounded by the authorities that know what is right and wrong. And that was the last day I took drugs, alcohol, smoke, did anything. And that was cold turkey, but I didn't really have a problem with it. I didn't have the withdrawals. I didn't have any of that stuff because I think that's just the way God set it up. Was
Wow. Wow.
And I went on, let's see, then I realized I got to clean myself out from all this stuff. So there was a wonderful guy, entertainment director at Flamingo, I think I was working at the time. And he pulled me aside one night and he goes, Spice, why are you doing this? We have to pour you into a taxi cab every night. Why? Oh, I got pain in my back and this and that, my car accident. He goes, I'm sending you to my chiropractor. And I grew up kind of in a medical family. Like my dad thought chiropractors, as much as I loved them, he thought they were quacks. And but this guy was so nice. He said, please go see Dr. Armand Gilbo. Just take him what he says to you. Try and keep an open mind. And I said, okay. So I went to him and he started muscle testing me.
Yep.
Now, coming from my dad was an African safari hunter and the first bioanalyst of the state of California. He discovered the use of the Exonopus exclavus frogs for pregnancy testing. Otherwise, they would give blood to a rabbit, and if the rabbit died, that meant you're pregnant. That's why if you watch some old movies, and I don't know if anybody's old enough here to go, oh my God, the rabbit died. But my dad would take urine injected into the meat-eating frog, and if the frog laid eggs, it's like, oh, she's pregnant. And he would ship them in big aluminum tins, ship them with frozen meat. They were meat eaters. But I grew up with my dad telling me that chiropractors are quacks and things like that. So this amazing doctor starts muscle testing me. And I'm going, oh, here it goes. This is voodoo. I can't believe it. And he tested me, put vitamins on my tongue and tested me. And then he adjusted me. And he did all these things that are foreign to me because I even worked in a hospital. I was a nurse, a treatment nurse. I worked with wonderful doctors. Nowhere while I was trying to do a gastronomy tube feeding and a suction of a trach tube, nowhere did anybody say I could muscle test them to see how they feel. So it was all just freaky deaky stuff. But I kept hearing myself saying, okay, God, here's the deal. And then I was like, okay, I'll hang in there. I mean, I talked to myself a lot, but I was like, okay, I got it. Well, it wasn't too long before, like maybe 2 weeks, I started feeling better. And I didn't want to admit it, but it was very obvious that I was feeling better, that I had more energy, that whatever fat and bloat I had started eliminating itself for me. And then I went, this must be the journey. And when this Dr. Armand Gilbo, I said, I need to detox, I think. He goes, yes, you do. And I said, I don't know how to do that. There's no medical school that teaches you how to detox. And he goes, here's an address. And he wrote down an address and handed it to me. I go, what do I do with this? He goes, go see this woman. I'm in Vegas now. How well do you know Vegas at all?
I just know the strip with all the hotels.
Okay, well, behind the strip and the hotels was just fields.
Yeah.
And I took this address and I was in behind the Flamingo and the senior moment now. I can't even remember. But anyway, it was the Tropicana. So took Paradise Road all the way down, and then I went up into these fields, and it was a journey. And I kept thinking, what am I doing? I finally come to this way off, maybe an acre, was a house. And the mailbox was right there at the road. And you had to turn into that, go down a dirt road to get to the house. And I'm like, God, this is where, it's like a serial killer. This is where I'm going to get killed. But I knocked on the door. Nobody answered. And I said, hello. And I heard a little old lady go, come around in the back, honey. And I went around, and in the garage, it was just loaded with enema bags and herbs and eye of newt and everything else. I mean, it was just unbelievable. I mean, for me, it'd be a kid in a candy store, but for me, I was just like, what do all these things do? And she was in a not a wheelchair, but a chair with wheels. And she goes, hi, honey, I'll be right with you. And she said, what do you need? And I said, well, Dr. Amon Gilbo said I should detox. And she goes, I got it for you. So she started whipping out all these books. And she came on over. She got me a 5-gallon long tube enemas for us and inserts that they did. And then she'd come over here and then she said, here, take this, take that. Got to get on the Sonays program. That's a great program that swells up in your gut and pushes all the stuff out. And then she gave me these books. One was on food combining. And there were a bunch of other books. Anyway, what was I going to do, Michael? I couldn't turn it down. I already said I'd do this. So there I was. And I read everything and I said, well, let's see, let me try. And it worked and I felt better. And through feeling better, I got more ideas of how I could get even better. And when it became time for me to leave the road, I talked to my twin sister. I said, I got to get off the road. 10 years, can't do this anymore. And so I went back to Los Angeles. I was signed with 20th Century Records as a staff songwriter. And I had 6 songs that won the American Awards on that.
Wow.
And then I needed extra money because just because you get some awards, you don't make much money. And so I took a job. Now, see, I didn't do this because I thought it would help me, but God had already put the plan. I needed a job, and somebody said in Woodland Hills, they're hiring aerobics teachers. I didn't even know what that was. But I went in and I said, I understand you have openings for aerobic teachers. They go, oh, yeah, have you been doing aerobics? And I go, no, I don't even know what that is. They said, well, we have a class and come on and learn how. First, we start with the stretching and then we did the kicks and then the leg up and all that, the old aerobic classes.
Yeah.
And I said, okay. So I learned that and got a job. And that was all upstairs in this World for Women studio. But as you went downstairs, there were all these machines to bench press, to, for the chest and legs and all that stuff. So waiting for the next class, I would just fool around in there and start learning like, oh, this is going to help pull my butt up. Oh, this is going to build this, build that. And little by little, the anatomy lessons started coming. Well, okay, well, how do we do this? How do we do that? So look at that, took me from there. I got an audition where they were looking, there's a TV movie of the week, I believe it was, and it was called Getting Physical. And Getting Physical was with Sandal Bergman, can't think of the other actress, and there were all these bodybuilding women. It was about a female bodybuilding contest. Not really a world I'd been in, but here I am working at this World for Women, doing aerobics and stuff and pushing and whatever. And so I went in for the audition. And I got it. And I was like, oh my God, I want to be an actress. I wanted to go this route, but this physical fitness and all this stuff now is taking me in that direction. I didn't plan it. It took me. And that's what I think happens when you give it up. I don't like this word at all, surrender, but when you surrender to God and say, okay, I know you got a plan. I'll go with it. I may question you. I might not like it. But sometimes I always go, dear God, grant me patience. But can you give it to me now, darn it? I can't wait for the patience anymore. So I went into the bodybuilding world because now I was getting hired. I got on the cover of Vegetarian Times because they saw me on the show. They came by, they wanted to do a full-on story on me. And everybody bought that magazine. It was pretty hot at the time. And before I know it, I was starting to get hired for physical roles. And the greatest role I got hired for, well, I needed to make money. I did not wait on tables. I hated waiting on tables. I wasn't going to be a waitress. So, but I did get a request from the world famous Mildred Burke, world famous female wrestler. And during the Depression, she would go into bars and tell any of the guys, if you can pin me, I'll give you $1. If I pin you, you give me $1. And she made enough money to live quite some time because she was a short, stocky little fire plug. And she just creamed these guys. She jumped on him. She was heavy and stocky him. So anyway, she was looking for some wrestlers that wanted to get paid for doing some competition. And I went, oh, okay, so I can do that, learn to wrestle, and then make money, and then go on auditions. And so I did. They had a fall guy, very famous fall guy called Tag Team. And I was hired to work on that. I had another girl with me. So it was a tag team. It's called Rico's Rockets. And it was so much fun for 2 weeks. We flew, we hit, we flipped, we did everything. But the coach, the stunt coordinator was Mickey Gilbert, God bless him, may he rest in peace right now. And then the other coach was Judo Gene LaBelle, one of the most world.
That's how you connected with Judo Gina. Okay.
Yeah, well, he came in and he's grind. If anybody ever saw Gene LaBelle, it was like, yeah. Spicer, get over here. He always called me Spicer. And I didn't like him because Mildred taught me how to lock up this way. And he goes, oh, that's sissy stuff. You don't lock up like that. You lock up like that. And I was like, how dare you? So I was defending Mildred most of the time. Then he'd just say, just shut your mouth and throw me on the ground. And I'd say, I can't do that monkey flip. She doesn't know what she's doing. She'll smash my head into her knee. And he goes, you'll be fine. And sure, anything. But he goes, you can take it. And then we're in the ring. I went to the stunt coordinator, Mickey Gilbert. I said, Mickey, this guy's a lunatic. And he goes, oh, you'll get to love him. We've all gotten to love him. So Judo Gene LaBelle could pop wheelies and ride up mountains. He was world famous. He held the American championship in Japan for judo. This man was amazing and but gruff. He just didn't put up with small talk. And so I was standing outside the ring. It was a big film day. You can look it up on Fall Guy. It's called Rico's Rockets. And everybody, the studio, they had this studio just loaded with people because they wanted an audience. And we had wrestled in Jello and all kinds of mud and dumb stuff. But this was the big tag team match. And the other girl, Mary Peters, she was a stunt girl, and I can't think of the other one. But anyway, none of those girls had really wrestled, but they're stunt women. But it's a whole nother ball game. I mean, if you danced country and somebody said you're going to do a waltz now, it's dancing, but it's not the same thing. So the director said, Gene, can Spice take it over the ropes? And I'm like, what does that mean? And he goes, yeah, she can do it. And he grabs the back of my head, throws me over the rope. I like high, boom, land in the middle of it. He goes, like that, sir? And he goes, yeah, that's good. I hated him. But he made me look so good. Everybody was coming around to see me. And then my agent came in at the time. It was Darlis Clark. She goes, I'm going to talk to this man. I'm going to give him a piece of my mind. How dare he do this? How dare, you're my client. I said, yeah, Darlis, go get him. And And then I see him walking over to me, hugging each other. And I'm like, what is going on here? And she goes, hey, I really like this Judo Gene LaBelle. He's really, I'm like, Darlis, you just betrayed me. The guy's a lunatic. He goes, yeah, but I like this lunatic. He's really good. And he said to me, you'd make a hell of a stunt woman. I said, no, excuse me, I'm an actress. And he goes, yeah, well, while you're starving to death being an actress, you want to make some money being a stunt woman? And I had to think there for a minute, because my mouth, I could have argued with the spirits in my out of body experience. I could have argued with all kinds, but every now and then, it's time to shut the trap. And I said, okay, Gene, what do I have to do? And he says, you got to keep your mouth shut and just do what I say. And he became my mentor for every time I went out on the set. He goes, Spicer, come over here. I go, what, Uncle? We call him Uncle Gene. Everybody calls him Uncle Gene. I said, what, Uncle Gene? Pick me up. Well, now Gene was 240. He go, come on, pick me up. I go, Gene, I'm in a skirt. I got high heels on. Pick me up. So he picked me up. I go, well, where do you want me to put it? He goes, spin me around and dump me over there. And then he'd make sure that the director saw I did all that stuff. So the next time I got a call to go to work, it was at CBS Studios. And I met a guy named Ernie Orsatti. And I went into audition. And Gene just said, you're here to meet Ernie. I said, well, what's it for? He goes, just shut your mouth, walk in and be nice. I said, okay. So I met him. I brought a picture. And then Gene said, wait till all the other girls come in. So all the other girls came in, they all went out. And he goes, Spice, come back in. And I said, okay, you want to fill me in on what's going on? And he goes, yeah, Ernie's got a TV show called, oh God, it was with Rock Hudson and Jack Scalia. And I said, they need a judo instructor, and you're going to play that part. So I got 3 weeks, 1 rehearsal and 2 with Rock Hudson and Jack Scalia. Rock Hudson was the nicest, most gentle, kind, loving man. And he'd see me pick someone up and he goes, no, 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 I can't have Spice pick that guy. That guy's too heavy. I said, well, sir, it's only because the guy doesn't know how to go up. Gene LaBelle was 240. I could have picked him up and it didn't feel anything because he was still going up before I could do my thing. But some of these, even if they're stunt people, they drop their weight.
Yeah.
And so Rock was so concerned about it till finally the actor came up and said, I've done this stuff. I can go up. We don't need a stunt man for that. So I said, let me try. So I picked him up on my shoulders and then spun him. And I said, okay, I'm dropping you over here on the couch. He goes, go for it. And boom. So now I'm doing stunts. And in one of the scenes, Jack Scalia and Rock Hudson are talking. And I'm over on the mat looking like I'm working out with some people. And they walk over to me and say, can you act, Spice? I said, well, yeah, I'm really an actress. I don't do this stuff for a living. And they said, okay, good. We got some lines for you. And 3 people came running in. Here, sign this contract. Here, sign this contract. Da, 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 da. I'm going, what am I doing? Well, now you have 2 contracts. One's for acting, one's for stunts. And I'm like, oh, I could maybe get used to this. And those people were lifelong friends. Uncle Gene died last year. Ernie died last year, a couple years ago. Anyway, but the 50 years I've been in this business, that's family. They were family to me. And I can see, well, as I'm telling you this, like I didn't plan for any of this to happen, but I liked where it was going. And where my life was going with the drugs and alcohol, I didn't like where that was going. And I just hit my knees and made a decision. So that's about that.
following the line here. Um, you're an instant martial artist now, and then you started very diligently pursuing very serious training with some very, very serious teachers in some very serious arts. Did you see a correlation between that part of you who was looking for health and looking to take more and more control over your life and about not only what you were doing, but what was happening to you and make it what was happening for you? Did you see a progression where getting involved in those arts, not only did it make you a better stunt person and a better, a healthier person, but did you see that hand of spirit taking you along? Because the discipline to be excellent in the martial arts is a very spiritual discipline, and so did you see that continuity of the hand of spirit, moving you along and saying, okay, now we're gonna use this as an excuse to develop this in you, and then that's going to connect you to the next thing, and then I want to get to how did you have time doing all of this stuff to get 2 master's degrees and a PhD?
Well, there's always time, you know. I mean, I don't like the fact that there's only 12 hours in a day, but there is always time to get up early, do what you got to do, take a couple hours out. And if you organize, organization is everything. But no, to answer your first question, I I didn't I was working on a set with wonderful people that did martial arts. And I'd kind of sit there, watch them doing their little wazes and tricks and flip this guy down. And then they'd come over and teach me because I'd have to do the fight scene. And I'm like, wow, this is cool. It'd be cool if I really knew what I was doing. And then there was when I was I had the Power Source Day, which raised money, and a Christmas Day for severely abused children. I had shows come in. I had special people that were contortionists and other people that ate fire and stuff. And I had a martial artist come in, and he had these kids come in and do all these martial arts. And he came on over to me and he said, "Hey, I have a dojo. It's called the House of Champions. And why don't you come by and visit? Take a free class." And I thought, oh, yeah, yeah. And with all the other stuff I got to do. But I did out of respect. And I wound up staying 35 years. And I mean, he said, "You like this class?" I said, "Yeah, that was really cool." And he goes, "Well, you got to buy a gi now." And I go, "What's a gi?" He goes, "That's a uniform for martial arts." I said, "Okay." And then one day he said, "You're testing." And I said, "What am I testing for?" And he goes, "You're going to be testing for your yellow belt. Just everything you've learned, we're going to ask you to do." And all of a sudden, I'm on a belt journey. I'm investing in clothes, belts. Wonderful. One of my mentors is Supreme Grandmaster Kokoi Kenyete, who died about 3 years ago at 94, still fighting. And I fell in love with this little Filipino guy. Fell in love with him because he was a real hero for America also. And what he did, there wasn't a guy that could stop this little guy. He was so sweet. He used to call me Spice Islands. And I just fell in love with him. And I said, I have to learn this. So I bought some sticks and I started training. And eventually my black belt took me to a 6th degree. And so that makes me a master, I guess. But I got in Arju Kempo, that's 5 combatant styles. And then I got a 6th degree in that, 6th degree in Eskrima. And then I've got degrees in Hawaiian Kempo and degrees in street smart survivor skills. And Kapap, that's Krav Maga, that's Krav Panin. That means hand to hand from Israel. I swear to God, Michael, they all kind of morph into each other.
Yeah. Yeah.
For me, if you get home safe, whatever you did worked. And one of my mentors, Shihan Jacob Bressler, who's from Israel, you don't have to be the greatest martial artist in the world to take your finger and stick it into some guy's eyeball. You can, these little kids, if they get picked up by a big man trying to take away, we teach them, just rip his ear off, 8 pounds of pressure, stick your fingers deep into his eyes. The guy, what's he gonna do if the eyeball is hanging out? There's things that you have to learn that are conducive to the age range, the elders, people with a cane. I taught cane for a while too. I love cane. That's a great weapon. They have it in Japan. So how you can use what I call improvised weapons. But all of it came from me seeing this art and seeing it on the set and watching the guys play around with, redoing or parrying a kick or something like that, and then tap, tap, tap. And I was like, wow, I want to learn how to do that. So none of it was in the thought of me trying to advance myself until I really got into it. And then I went, oh my God, this is great. I'm getting hired because I know this. I'm getting hired because of that. I need to just fortify that knowledge. And I know my husband a couple times said, well, are they going to put a bed for you in the dojo because you never come home? I'm like that. I was so hungry. I would go work 5 in the morning over at Sony Studios and hit the ground all day doing a prison scene, whatever like that. We'd wrap at like 7, and I'd beeline it down to Van Nuys, which was a 45-minute drive, and get into the dojo just for the last half hour. So if they were teaching something, I didn't want to miss out on it. I was so hungry. But I think all of those choices were because I wanted them. I didn't necessarily do them because I thought, oh, this will take me to the next level. Although I did get hired on a lot of shows because I could throw a kick, or there's some stuff on Deep Space Nine. I got a job because I had some martial arts skills. And you put it at the bottom of your resume, wrestle, hit the ground, martial arts, what kind of martial arts, weapons. I like to shoot guns. And so I can go out, shoot guns. And if they had to hire me for playing the piano, I play. There's a lot of things that I just learned because I wanted to learn them. But then as I saw in the future, I'm like, oh, wait a minute, I could put that on my resume. I could pitch myself for that. So
transitioning from that into putting this all together and recognizing that the conventional healthcare industry, was not fulfilling the needs of people who, like yourself, were at one time were ill, or or did not make the right choices for themselves, and suddenly are toxic. And um, when you heard and heeded the call to start pursuing the world of natural health science, and then I can see that you pursued it with the same dedication, energy, obsession that you did with your career and with martial arts. But it seems to me that there was sort of a watershed moment when you realized, oh my gosh, things are set up for us not to be healthy. Things are set up to kill us. I mean, life is hazardous to your health. Why is that? You know?
That's absolutely true. But it's interesting. Once again, you think I set out for that. I didn't.
Yeah.
I was taking care of myself. I was detoxing. I was cleaning out. I was working out. And people saw, my God, Spice, you've lost 20 pounds. My God, you look great. You look great. What are you doing? And I said, well, I kind of changed my diet and I'm taking some supplements. I'm into food combining. I love my the book that I had, Gary Null and Wayne Pickering, these were all books on digestive, how your foods digest. And they go, oh, well, can you help me? And I'm like, why? I was, I guess I'll try it. So I started writing some articles for various,
Okay.
and
Okay.
people wanted to know what I was doing to help myself and look good. And it's like they look at my husband and look at me and they go, "You guys are 73?" Whoa. And like, how can you keep doing this and you're so busy? But I got into reading books that came from doctors and professors from the 17 and 1800s.
Really?
Louis Pasteur, there's a great, great understanding of Antoine Béchamp and Louis Pasteur. Louis Pasteur was a liar, and he killed so many kids and animals. And at the time, it was Antoine Béchamp who worked with Florence Nightingale, and they said, the patient needs to stay healthy, clean, hydrated, wash your hands, get rid of all the rotten food, everything that we do today. But it was,
Should do. Yeah.
yeah, oh, the should.
Yeah.
You threw that word in. But and it was Florence Nightingale who really promoted the healthiest patient is a clean patient. And then it was Pasteur who hooked up with the so-called pharmaceutical companies, the drug companies, that said, no, we're making a vaccine. Well, the vaccine was never tested. Jenner gave it to his like 7-year-old kid, and he lived on the smallpox. He lived, but he lived a miserable life and sick, full of sick and stuff like that. So I read this. This was a big, big upheaval in those days. You don't hear about it today, but there are books called Béchamp versus Pasteur. And on Pasteur's deathbed, he said, Béchamp was right, I lied. And no vaccine's ever been ethically tested for safety. Now, do you know what goes into a vaccine? Well, I mean,
A lot of stuff that shouldn't be going in your body. I read, I've been reading your book and looking into the contents of vaccines, and it's shocking me. And this in this show, I cannot be a for or against anything, but as sharing, in sharing research, when I read in your book what goes into them, it shocked me. It
well,
shocked me.
it doesn't make sense to put aspartame in a shot, but it's a neurotoxin, which has caused more brain damage. That's why drinking diet cola and aspartame is the neurotoxin actually blows your brains out. Then there's formaldehyde. Then there's thimerosal. Everything that goes into that was never properly tested. And, and that's actually the only thing Robert F. Kennedy Jr. now is saying. Can we just test these things? Because none of them have been tested. And yet, oh, well, they've saved lives. You haven't counted all the lives that have died from them. That's the big thing. But also, milk does a body good. I started analyzing milk. And as if you're going to analyze milk, how good it does for you, then you got to analyze the cow. What are they injecting into that cow? They're injecting so many hormones so it will blow up and massive amounts of estrogen so that the cow can produce more milk. And then around the tits of the cow, there are massive pus clusters that are called mastitis. So as they're pumping that in, all this pus runs into the milk. Now they got to put antibiotics in it. Then they got to boil it because you've got to be able to kill certain germs that live in it. But they only do that for 15 seconds. So nothing's ever really clean. And milk has done It's for cows, we don't take a cat and put it on a dog's tit, and we don't, we're supposed to be human to human. But when we started, first of all, cows aren't even indigenous to our country. They were shipped over from Spain in like the early century, 1920s, 1930s. And then dairy farmers found a way to make a great living, which, okay, they drank milk, but when you're mass producing it and then the pharmaceutical companies get involved, now you don't have milk at all anymore. Although my favorite smell is driving by a dairy farm. I always got to roll down the windows like, I love that smell. But so little by little, everything I started to eat, I started to question. And if
Yeah.
you're like in food combining, if you're eating, let's say red meat, fish, chicken, whatever, flesh food, your stomach has to pump out hydrochloric acid, pepsin or repsin. Those are all digestive enzymes that can burn a hole through a plate glass window. But it's got to break down these long chains of amino acids down into singular forms of amino acid in order for you to absorb it, to build muscle, to build hormones, to build neurotransmitters, everything your body needs, protein. It's got to have this breakdown process. Now, if you eat a piece of bread with that protein, it requires an alkaline digestive enzyme. That would be ptyalin, amylase, maltase. So now you've got, what is the thing that people eat? Sandwiches or red meat, potatoes, fish, and rice. That's a protein, and one's an alkaline food, a vegetable, starch. Put those two in the same bundle of the stomach, and you've got hydrochloric acid, and you've got pepsin, alkaline. Put them together. So if you have stomach acid and you take an Alka-Seltzer, what is it doing? It's neutralizing the acid. Now, if you neutralize the very acid that's supposed to break down your meat, you don't break it down and digest it. And then the potato or the starch that you had with it, that doesn't break down either. That starts to ferment. What's fermented potatoes? Vodka. So it turns to an alcohol, and it makes the digestion is slowed down, halted. People get sleepy. They wonder why they have gas, bloat. They don't go to the bathroom regularly, which is like, if you're not going to the bathroom at least 3 times a day, you're in big trouble. And so
And it taxes the liver.
oh yeah, and I mean the thing is, you've got 30 feet of intestines. From the pylorus valve all the way down to the ileocecal valve, that's where the colon kicks in, and the last 7 feet of that large intestine. That's where everything in that large colon starts to seep in. If every 4 minutes, if you're not moving it and breaking it down, it starts to rot, putrefy, and all the chemicals, toxins, poison seep into the bloodstream. It's called a hepatic portal. And it will go all the way, go back up to the liver. So many people have fatty livers. They don't understand why. It's because, and then other things, your hormones like estrogen, that's cleaved off. And if it's going through your bowels, and it will come back to your liver and start shooting it out all over again. That's where you get these estrogen driven cancers. So I just started studying all the food that I was eating, and was it in the proper combination, and did it digest, how much water. I drink a gallon of water a day, and we're lucky we have lemon and lime trees, but every day my husband and I have a tall glass of water with lime and lemon. But before that I drink, trust me, I pee a lot. But it's good. Start worrying when you can't pee. But anyway, so you start analyzing all this stuff, and then you get down, you start the research thing, you start going down a very big rabbit hole, where it comes right down to, should you drink while you're eating? Now, while you're chewing your food, you've got enzymes pouring in. If you drink, like people have big gulps and they're chug-a-lugging stuff, you just diluted all those enzymes. Now, your pylorus valve's going to open up. You've got the intestines pushing all this food through, which is your transitory system, and it's not broken down or digested. So you're lacking about 70% of all the nutrients you need to stay alive, stay healthy, build your immune system, and keep you mentally alert. All of those things. So
I'm going to go to the back of your book, and this, folks, you see this on the website. You sure you want to live, right? In the back of the book, you start talking about the things that we can do, and I'm wondering if quickly the steps you can go through, the things that are necessary for us if we want to save our health, if we want to turn things around, if we want to come healthy. Like you talk about parasite cleanses, you talk about kidney cleanses, liver cleanses, the 7-day detox. What happens if you're diagnosed with cancer? You have a tremendous amount of information. Ozone, supplements. We probably don't have enough time left in the show for you to talk about everything, but can you talk very briefly about the importance of right now taking a look at making certain key changes? Could you give us like 5 key changes that is important for us to do right now? And, real short and sweet, what are 5 key changes that we need to make right now if we want to live? And we want to live a healthy life? What would they be?
okay. Well, first I want to explain how I got the title, because people were coming after I had people coming to me in 1985, and I realized I can't do this if I'm going to get paid for this unless I've got some acronyms, some letters after my name. And that's when I got the Masters of Fitness Science. That's when I got my holistic degrees, and then my PhD one. But people would come to me because they were at their wits' end. They couldn't get any answers from their doctor. All they wanted to do was drug, chemo, cut, fire, radiate, all that stuff. And there's a lot of people, religious people, that said, I can't do that. It's against my faith. And then other people that just said, I saw it happen on my wife. I will not do it. I saw them murder this. I saw them murder that. And so they bring their families in. I have a cozy office and a big couch with a lot of chairs. And one time I had 13 people in here. And I'd say, okay, why are you here? Because mom's got cancer. And I go, well, no, you all have cancer. You all have cancer now because you have to be able to, whatever she needs, you got to help her and go along with it. You can't just go, oh, mom, well, we'll take care of mom, but we're going to keep smoking, drinking, and eating crap. It's a huge responsibility to see the truth. So a lot of my patients, they go, this is so much work. I go, well, I mean, you sure you want to live then? Because dying's so much easier. And then a couple times it's like, well, it's an inconvenience. And I'd say, well, no, crapping in a bag is an inconvenience. I used to have to do all the irrigation, colostomy tubal feedings and things like that. And I go, that's an inconvenience. We need to get your digestion together. We need for you to learn how to eat. We need for you to stop drinking, smoking, eating chemicals, aspartame, everything that you're doing. And my one big question is, well, why do you have cancer and I don't? And they go, well, I could have inherited. No, you make your own cancer. You make your own ill health. And we also, if you had anything running in the family, it was probably your lack of running. And the whole thing is, you've got to take responsibility. The first thing you've got to do is eat organic. It is what it is. No genetically modified organisms. That has been the death. Monsanto is evil. Organic, you got to drink water, a lot of water. Learn how to drink water. People go, I don't like water. It doesn't taste good. Well, then put some lime in it or put lemon in it. But I have a trick. I have a 16-ounce glass that's by my fountain all the time. And I drink at least 3 or 4 of those before I leave the kitchen and go to the office. I don't leave the house. I don't wake up without drinking that. It is a mandatory thing. So by the end of the day, I pretty much have made my fill. And then people don't know they're thirsty because you don't feel it till the very end. But meanwhile, your cells are all cracking and screaming, and the hydration is crucial for your joints, for your brain, for your heart, for every organ in your body. I say no genetically modified stuff, organic. Stay away from any dairy. If it comes out of a cow's tit, you don't eat it. Period. It's made for cows. And people say, well, what about calcium? Ask yourself questions. How does the cow get calcium?
It's vegetables.
Yeah, it's the grass. And where is calcium? It's a mineral. The mineral is in the soil. So whatever in the soil and it grows and you eat that, that's how you get calcium. You cannot get calcium out of a glass of milk. It's impossible. It rots, putrefies. It cannot be broken down and digested because you don't have lactase as an enzyme. So some people go, oh, well, milk doesn't bother me. And I go, well, maybe not now, but talk to me 30 years from now. And, like you've asked me a lot of questions that make me think, like, well, did you know where you were going in your life journey? Did you plan for this? Did you plan for that? No, I didn't. But now that I'm here, I'm trying to tell you, you got a plan. You got it, because at my age now and looking back, by the grace of God, I lucked out on a lot of things. And when I didn't luck out, I had to step back and go, okay, how can I fix this? How can I do better? What do I know that I have to do? And every time I'd start whining, like I'd get a part in a movie, Star Trek 5, and I realized, oh my God, I had so much dieting to do. I had so much stuff. And I'd wake my husband up and I go, what am I going to do? I don't know if I can do this. He goes, you know what to do. Shut up and go do it. Because we like to vent. We all like to vent, but then you got to have a loved one that says, okay, enough. Just go do what you need to do. And so vegetables are crucial. Vegetables, people don't, we eat. I have so many vegetables. I'm like doing Brussels sprouts and asparagus and green beans, spinach, kale. I have a huge salad in a big giant bowl that I make it would last 3 days if my son didn't come over. Even though he's 30 and he left, he knows where his good food comes from. And he wakes me up in the morning, love you, mommy, what's for breakfast? But I have a big giant salad that I make with spinach, kale, cucumbers, zucchini, carrots, beets, raw beets I like, and all the vegetables I could think of. And then that's the bowl that we grab handfuls, and that's the salad bowl. And we eat a lot of avocados. Avocados is it's a fruit protein. And it is absolutely the most brilliant. People go, oh, it's fat. It's not that kind of fat. They have done so much damage saying, like, oh, it's how much fat is in it? Enough fat that you need. And so we eat 2 avocados a day. That's my husband and I. Now that's 2 avocado pits. I keep them in a baggie. So by the end of the week, I put them in a little cooking jar, like a corning cooking thing. I put it in the oven, 350 for an hour and 20 minutes. When I take it out, it cools down. I crack off the outside, and then I grind it up. And it's full of so many so many protein little nummies, and I sprinkle that on our salads. So I'm not throwing the avocado seeds out. I'm making them into fulfilling our it's like a supplement. And I also like we do a lot of supplements. I believe in full food matrix supplements. It was my job when I worked for the Tyson and Associates. It was Don Tyson, genius of all geniuses. He brought the first amino acid over from Ajinomoto, Japan to America, and he started a company called Tyson and Associates, and then Integrated Health. But in these IV pharmaceutical grade, biologically fermented, free form amino acids put into a specific broad spectrum formula, they were designed for life support for people who couldn't eat. But when I worked for him, I lectured all around the country in Canada, and we put these formulas in for bodybuilding, for mental acuity, and then one was for overall health, overall, if you had cancer, just overall, and cardio and stuff. So, and it was my job to go around to certain health food stores and pick supplements off the shelf, take it back to our lab, and analyze them to see who was lying and who's telling the truth. And I, at the time, you got to remember, it was early 80s, but at the time, there were only 5 laboratories that some of these supplements were coming out of that were telling the truth. Most of the stuff on the labels of a supplement, okay, let's say 1,000 milligrams of vitamin C. You get a big tablet, and it says that tablet's 1,000 milligrams of vitamin C. No, that tablet weighs, it's the weight count. The milligram count of vitamin C may only be 200. So it's really important to get the supplements from the correct company that you can trust. And no, that's why I prefer powders or capsules, not real big, unless it's pressed, but full food matrix. Now, when you get into synthetic vitamins, if you take, let's say, a thing of broccoli, and you cut it thin and put it under the microscope, and you look deep inside, you're going to see various vitamins, minerals, all tied in together. Some we are totally aware of, and others we don't have a clue. But they synergistically all work together. That's why eating the thing of broccoli is better for you all the time. But if you're going to enhance and add an adjunct of a supplement to your body, you get one that's full food matrix, because that means they took the whole food. They didn't pick out things and say, well, we don't know what that is, so we'll throw it out. It's a whole food that they put together to make a multivitamin mineral or to make whatever supplement. So they're called full food matrix. So, I mean, you got to have your regular multivitamin mineral, your vitamin C. And, vitamin C is ascorbic acid. It's more than ascorbic acid. They always go, oh, it's ascorbic acid. Well, that's 1/4 of vitamin C. You got to have the whole full food matrix, the whole package, hesperidin and rutin and all the other things that make up vitamin C. So, so you do a good check and learn how to pick the correct supplements for yourself. And my husband and I were big on tinctures. We like tinctures. He's got a company he likes to buy tinctures, like ginkgo biloba, which you can get a tincture and put that in your mouth, and just you can check and explore, but you need your basics: multivitamin mineral, your B complex, vitamin C, and amino acids. And the amino acid should be free form, and it shouldn't require any preliminary digestion. It should just hit the bloodstream and take off. So you have a good supplement program. You make sure, how much water did I drink today? If you don't like the taste of water, get a lemon. We have lime trees, but I mean, just I got one of those squeezers that I like so much. You cut the fruit, you put it in, and then you just press down and it juices it. So I pour that in the water. So and making sure that I mean, it doesn't matter what you eat, Michael, unless you have your spiritual connection. Because if you're sick, emotionally sick mentally, the the food may make you feel better, but you really need to. It's a combination of everything. You need a little sleep. Yeah, so, oh, and sleep. Sleep is important. I will be the worst perpetrator of that because my mind. I wake up and I'm thinking a million thoughts, and so. But I mean, I keep my exercising every day. My husband and I train together. If I will run 5 miles 3 times a week, but in between I have an elliptical. So I like the cardio. My cardio is pretty good for being 73. I could go out and run 2 hours. I never lose breath unless I'm walking stairs. I hate stairs. Stairs. People go, oh, I can run forever. I go, yeah, try a set of stairs. But the thing is, it's a choice. Like everything's a choice. And if you look at it like it's a pain in the butt, it's not going to come easy. You have to look at it like this. And I tell some of my patients, I've never eaten that stuff before. I've never done that. I go on, look at it as an adventure. This is a journey. And try and find out, oh, you never ate this food? We'll find out where it came from. What's the history of that? Oh, it came from Peru. Okay, great. Let's check this. Let's check that. Tropical fruits, I think, are the best because they're loaded with enzymes. But I don't mix my fruit. I have sweet fruits and then I have my acid fruits. So I make sure that when I'm making breakfast every morning, my husband and I either get a sweet fruit meal, which would be, bananas, blueberries, maybe grapes, stuff. And then the acid meals are more the pineapple, the strawberries, and mangoes fits in everywhere. Melon. So melons, you eat them alone or leave them alone. You don't mix melon with anything. So,
I mean, we could talk all day about it. Again, folks, first of all, the folks who came into the Zoom audience and who joined us live on Facebook and right now, and who shared our advertisements for the show, you're all going to get a copy, and it's a signed copy of "You Sure You Want to Live," because dying is so much easier. Um,
and I want to say one thing, that's okay too.
yeah,
That's why I wrote the last
yeah.
chapter.
If that's a choice, that's a valid choice, and you have
It's a
some.
total valid choice
Yeah,
because, wow, let's say you've got stage 4 cancer, it's
yeah,
metastasized all over your body. You only got about 3 months left to live. It is your choice, but you have to do it responsibly. And my last
yeah.
chapter is, all right, who gets what? I've been to too many funerals hearing sisters screaming and yelling, no, mom promised me that. No, dad wanted to be buried in this suit. No, uncle so-and-so wanted to be cremated. They're arguing. They're arguing. It has to be, if you make up your mind that it's time, I want to do it my way. And that is so valid. You came into this world by yourself. Guess what? You are leaving by yourself unless your spirit guides are going to go, hello, I'm here to take you. But put it in writing. Your will should be, how do you want to be buried? Who do you want to say you love and you're sorry for? And what letters do you want to write? Wrap it up. Wrap it up. Don't be the wake at the end of a boat where everybody's going, oh, should we do this? Should we do that? Da 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 da. That's not fair. If you have made this choice, that it's too much work to try and get your health together and whatever. which is okay because it is a lot of work. And sometimes it pays off, and other times you're too close to the end. Then you get your spiritual life together. You write it out to every single person that meant something to you in your life, and then wrap it out so that people will feel good about knowing what to do with you after you have passed. I got my whole
Well,
party planned.
yeah.
I got the whole party. I got the food. My husband hates it when I talk about this, but I got to have a red carpet and everybody has to dance down the aisle to Earth, Wind, and Fire September. I got all the vegan food planned, no alcohol. But then one of my favorite stories on Highway to Heaven with Michael Landon and
Yeah.
Victor French, he knew he was dying.
Yeah.
And so he planned his party after he was gone, and everybody had all the food, they were all laughing, and there was a microphone, and everybody got an envelope that when they went up to the microphone, they had to open it up and read it. And some of these were the dirtiest, filthiest jokes. And there'd be like a little old lady going up, she goes, I can't say this. And so it was so funny. Everybody was laughing so hard because he was such a prankster. And then at 4:30 at a certain time, everybody had to go outside and look up, and there was a biplane with a trailer saying, ha ha ha, I got the last laugh.
Jeez.
And I thought, that's brilliant. That's
Yeah.
absolutely brilliant. Let's make some fun out of it. So, because it's inevitable, nobody's going to get off this planet alive. So, but I think being organized, everything in my life, I've tried to be organized. And being ADD and dyslexic and all that stuff doesn't always come easy because I'll wind up like a one peg in a hole spinning my wheels. But ultimately, when it comes down to wanting to change your life, wanting to change your diet, wanting to move on with a healthier life, you're not going to learn it all in one book or all in one day. But start organizing, what do you, first thing in the morning, fruit meal. I always say, drink your water and then make a bowl of fruit because you want to clean out the stomach, make it available for the cephalic setup where you want to digest all your food. Fruit digests in the upper jejunum. So when the pylorus valve opens up and the fruit shunts down and closes up, there's a peristalsis which moves all that food through. After you eat fruit, wait a good 30 minutes before you go to make the next meal. Eat the next meal. Then that way you've used the cleansing fruit. It ups your blood sugar and it cleans your stomach out, moves through, and now you're ready for your next meal, which people call breakfast, but it could be a baked yam with coconut oil. It could be like a good piece of toast or something, whatever you make. I like this plancha bread, but then at the same time, I'll make certain meals but the fruit has already done its work. So I always think you wake up to fruit in the morning.
Let's talk a little bit about you took it a step further as far as food goes. And I want to have you talk quickly a little bit about Spice of Life Foods, because you went a step beyond just giving advice and you created some products to help people with their nutrition that are healthy and natural and chemical free and sugar free. And could you tell briefly about these meatless products that are on the spice-of-life.com site? What are they and what are the benefits? And then I want to get to questions. We have people in the audience who have questions for you.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, if you don't put those dashes in between, you'll come up with a porno site. So I'm not knocking it, but just make sure it's spice-of-life.com. when I was taking care of these severely abused and abandoned and neglected children and throwing a Christmas party for them once a year, it was about an $85,000 event with this flying stunt shows and the Cirque du Soleil stuff and all this stuff and lunch for everybody. It was hard to figure out what food am I going to get to feed 500 people plus these kids and get it in, get it out, and not have to be beholden to the big food conglomerates. And so I had liked this food. I saw it in a health food store, and the chicken chunks and the beef chunks, you just boil it for 12 minutes. It swells up like soft pieces of meat. And then you can grind it and make chili out of it, or make tacos out of it, or put it in soups or whatever. And I thought this was great. So I called I called the man who was head of the company, which was called Lumen Foods at the time. His name was Greg Caton. And he just died last year, which is very sad to all of us. But he was making them. And I asked him, I said, hey, if I want to feed 500 people, how many pounds do I need? Let's say I want to make chili. How many pounds do I need to grind it up? And can you pre-grind it for me? And we'll just boil it and add the beans and the sauce and make chili out of it. Then I can feed all these people a bowl of chili with other things. And he said, well, I'll give it to you wholesale. I mean, I'll donate it. I said, yeah, but tell me how much it would be. And he goes, well, I don't know, for a 25-pound bag, it'd be about maybe 50, 60 bucks. And I'm like, and I can feed 500 people for that? Are you really? And then my mind started going, oh my God, this is incredible. And he also made jerky for me. Because some people, or people around the world that want to travel, I mean, you go in for a snack, any place that's full of sugar and garbage, but the jerky, we have pepperoni, spicy chicken, original beef. It's meatless, vegetable jerky. And it tastes good. It chews just like that. So he said he donated the food, and I had a very successful year with the Power Source Day. And when I called him the next year, I said, hey, you interested in donating again? And he said, why don't you just make your own company? I go, I'm an actress. I'm a stuntwoman. I don't do food. And he said, I can help you private label it. And I'm like, yeah, I'm like, well, no, man, I don't know. That sounds interesting, but do I want to do that? And I talked to Gregory, and Gregory said, yeah, we can probably do that. What would we call it? What would we do? So we said, okay, let's call it Spice of Life. It's, meatless meats and jerky. And it was interesting because I had to go to all the stores and pitch it. And I was very successful, Michael, for a long time, but then I learned, just like medicine, there is absolute corruption in the food industry. And in order to get my product on a shelf, I have to pay them up to $30,000, $40,000. Shelf space, rental. And I'm like, what? You're kidding me. And they go, no, that's very valuable real estate property for these big companies. Well, if you're Procter and Gamble or Campbell's Soup or any of those other, they got no problem doing that. Now, there were a lot of stores, I got to say, like Hughes Market, Whole Foods, Foods for Life, other things like that. They felt sorry for me. And I'd say, look, help me out. Let me just, oh, it's kind of a weird, all right, we'll give it a shot. And I was actually selling in Vons, Ralph, Foods for Less, and we did great. But then the powers that be came in and said, no, we don't want to move it over by the meat section and then move it here and then move it there. And they just made it tougher and tougher and tougher to sell it. So we just decided to go online, and People order it online and we ship it all over the world. And it's healthy. It's you know, it's non-GMO. It's not soy that has been messed around by Monsanto. It's just natural organic soy. And then it's got and then I made a deal with Bragg's liquid amino. You know Bragg's? Patricia Bragg was alive at the time. So I made a deal with her that I could use her natural soy sauce to season it, and natural spices, and so it's got sunflower oil in it, and it's a soft chew. And it lasts for up to a year. So
Wow.
people that are worried about the apocalypse, a lot of people are doomsday survivalists, and you can have a bag of this stuff and get a big old chunks of chicken or beef and get the snacks and throw them in your car. I have a lot of people that throw them in their trunks, their truck, their glove compartment, wherever. And if they're stuck in traffic and they're hungry and they don't want to eat something sugary or anything like that, they'll just pop it out and eat it. So it's been a very interesting journey with that, but it's still around.
Great. Well, folks, spice-of-life.com. I'm putting it in the chat also. Let me do that right now. Let me find the chat. Here we go. So it's in the chat there. I'm going to order a bunch tomorrow, and I will let you know.
Let me know what you're cooking.
I'll let you know what I'm cooking. So could we take a few minutes real quick to answer any questions? I know Eugene had a question. Eugene's in our Zoom audience. Eugene had a question for Spice.
Yes. Good evening. First, I want to thank you, Chief Mike and Spice, for the beautiful narration. Talking
hello,
from
Eugene. I want to say hello, Eugene.
Thank you very much. My question: the reason why I actually came for this program is because of the naturalness of the program, and as I speak right now, I'm diabetic.
Okay.
And I had a spike recently, and I discovered that the medication I'll be taking is not for me.
Well, let me
right
ask you,
now,
what kind of diabetic are you? First, 1 or 2?
type 2.
2? Oh
Yes.
my God, you can cure that in 30 days.
So right now, I'll be taking some metformin, and it has affected me very negatively. And right now, having some numbness and tingling in my palms, and I'm not happy about it.
Okay.
So
Did they put you on metformin?
The question is this: is there any specific natural diet one could take so that one can have a relief this for myself? Thank you.
Are you testing your blood sugar?
Yes, I do. I do take yes, every morning, fasting blood sugar every morning.
Yeah, but what
Right
about
now,
before you eat?
What I do in the morning, I do my fasting blood sugar every morning. The next day, I will still do the same thing.
No, you have to, your body changes and digests food. Before you eat each meal, you must test your blood sugar to see if you're high or low. And just because your fasting blood sugar is at a particular number when you wake up, it won't be at that number when you go 2-3 hours down the day. So my son is a type 1 diabetic, and he has to test himself before he puts any food in his mouth to find out, are you high? Are you low? I mean, what if you test your blood sugar before lunch and your numbers are high? You have to alter your lunch. So, what's your A1C? Did they tell you what your A1C is?
It was the last one I I did was 4.8.
Oh, 4.8. Well, that's
4.8.
good. Yeah, no, that's good. But I tell you this, in order for you to determine the best way to eat for you is before you eat, you have to test so that you know where your blood sugar levels are. This is a huge mistake most diabetics make. They go, oh, well, I feel fine. I heard that from my son. I feel fine. And 20 minutes later, a few minutes later, he almost passes out in a diabetic coma. He has to test him. He's 30 years old and he has to test himself. And he injects insulin. He's been injecting insulin since he was 18 months old. So I think the best thing for you, and people go, oh, here we go, it's such an inconvenience. Well, it's an inconvenience that can save your life. You got to test yourself unless you're on a monitor. Luke now, my son, is on a monitor, and so his numbers come up on his cell phone. But if you're manually testing yourself, I'd say manually test yourself before you eat breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And then throughout the day, you're going to find out where your numbers are. But are you doing any I didn't hear you. You broke up a little bit. Are you taking any medication right now?
Yes, yes, I mentioned to you that I take metformin, Abrofrage, and Downy right now. They're not doing the right thing for me. What I mean doing the right thing, they are affecting me. They are affecting my system because of the long dosage, because of the
Yeah,
long
well,
time
those drugs are not good for you.
taking.
That first of all, any drug that makes you not feel good
So
is
I
not.
know it's really. So what specifically can somebody take without taking these medications? Because to me, these medications are killing. They're killing me.
Yeah.
That's what I mean.
Well, your medication is going to be your food, and it only can work for you if you know where your blood sugar is. And the thing is, you produce insulin if you're a type 2. You're not a type 1. So you produce insulin, but you have to be able to change your diet, stop doing any sugar, stop doing any potatoes, breakfast cereals are the worst, pasta, all that stuff. Stick to fresh vegetables, salad, lean proteins, egg whites, and watch the times that you eat. Like fresh fruit in the morning, then a half an hour after that, do maybe a protein meal. But everything is going to be based off what your blood sugar shows up on your test. But there are supplements to help you, especially with your A1C test sounds pretty normal. It's very good. An A1C test for average person is 5.7 to 6. I mean, when diabetics get up in the 7s, 8, 9s, and 10s, they're looking at neuropathy and blindness and stuff like that. But I think if you talk with your doctor's putting you on these medications.
Yes, what I, as I said, what I'm experiencing right, I'm actually expressing neuropathy, meaning I have tingling of my palms, both palms, my legs,
Yeah, well,
and
that gets into the nerve damage from too high a sugar.
yes.
So that would be
But
neuropathy.
I'm able to control it. But my concern is I don't want to take medications anymore because
I
that's what is
don't
happening.
blame you. I don't blame you. You can control this yourself. And you need to be able to organize your food, but you can't do it unless you know where your blood sugar is at that moment. So you have a little mini tester, right? Test your blood sugar.
Yeah, I have a glucose. I have a glucometer.
You're pricking your finger to get your blood sugar.
Yes, I have a glucometer that uses my blood sugar all the time.
Gotta
I,
do it.
I,
Gotta do it when you wake up in the morning.
yes, I do that. When
And find out that's going to determine what you eat for breakfast. And then before lunch, you got to do it again to determine what you're going to eat for lunch. And if you're crashing, uh, you make insulin, so you shouldn't have a problem. But every time you want to eat something, not like a snack or anything like that, but like a meal, you got to test yourself, Eugene, to see where you're at if you want to get off the medications, because the medications are horrible. Metformin, glucophage, all of those are absolutely horrible. You can control this, and you got to take a firm hand in doing it, but you can control it with diet and checking out where your numbers are at.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Yeah, where do you live?
I live in Nigeria, Lagos,
Okay.
Nigeria.
All right, well, you can do it even there. You can control it wherever you're at. But the doctors don't know how to talk to you about nutrition. They're just going to put you on a drug. And if you don't like it, you need to talk to your doctor and say, look, I don't like these drugs. I want to titrate myself off these drugs. I'm going to change my diet, exercise, and I want to get this under control. I don't want a pill to control my body anymore. See what he says. I hope you have a doctor that's willing to just say, are you willing to work with me on this?
Yeah, thank you. I think I'll brief them. But again, I don't take I eat only twice in a day because of this. I eat breakfast and I eat dinner before 6. I don't take lunch.
Well, maybe you should.
But most of our food are carbohydrate based.
You need to balance your day out. If you go too long without eating, then you burn up heart muscles and things. It doesn't have to be a big giant lunch, but you should itemize your meals so that you're constantly being supported. At
Okay.
least 3 meals a day, and then maybe a snack before you go to sleep. But you can do that, but maybe ask your doctor, say, I don't want to do this anymore. Are you willing to work with me so that I can get off these drugs and get into a more balanced nutritional diet? It'd be interesting to see what he says.
No, that is my decision. The doctor will not tell me, but I'm based on what I'm experiencing. Doctor will not tell me, not to do right. Because as I'm saying, the medication is killing. So I need to do something for myself right now.
Yeah, you
Immediately
do.
I saw the when Mike published this, I said, okay, I must attend it this time. This is about going to 2 o'clock now, 2 a.m. Nigeria time. I have to stay awake to ensure that I attend this program. So it is going to be my decision to stay off pills and I do the other thing that's necessary to help me.
I'm so proud of you, Eugene, because what you're doing is you're taking your health back. And education, research. The more you can learn, the more you'll be in control. And then, like me, when I talk to a doctor, half of them go, what is that? I said, you didn't learn that in med school, right? No, we didn't learn that. I go, okay, let me teach you. So there's no medical doctor that ever learned nutrition. They outlawed it in 1923. So they wanted to sell drugs. So that's why you're stepping out. You got to educate yourself, learn more books, read my book, see what you can get, ask questions, just what you're doing right now. I'm so proud of you. This is what you do. How old are you, Eugene?
Thank you very much.
How old are you?
Oh, I'm 58 now.
Oh, so you're a baby.
Yeah, I'm 58, 5'8".
Yeah, you're a baby.
Yes, I appreciate that.
You got a big, long world, life to live in. So take charge, educate, learn, and I hope, you know, if my book helps you, I wish you all the best.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Yes.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Eugene. Yeah, thanks for that, Spice. Yeah, Eugene's been a long time friend and part of our program and our show here, and he stays up very, very late to tune in from Nigeria.
Good for him, man. That's
Yeah,
exciting.
yeah, yeah. I there is a saying that next to every successful woman, next to every incredible woman is an incredible man. In your case, and folks have been hearing this voice in the background, but Spice's husband, Gregory Crosby, is an absolutely incredible man, an inspiring man. He has worked on some really amazing projects. One of which he helped co-write
So rich.
yeah, yeah, but he was involved right from the start, interviewing Desmond.
He brought it
Yeah,
to Hollywood.
yeah,
Nobody even knew about it, but he
yeah,
wrote a little book, and I brought it home for him to read. And on his desk, well, our meatless meats, here we go.
yeah,
It's another thing. We did not plan this,
yeah,
but I was sitting here at the computer one Sunday morning. Luke and Gregory were asleep. And on the fax machine came this thing, welcome to our Seventh-day Adventist buffet at the ABC store in Glendale. And I was looking, they're all vegetarian meals because the Seventh-day Adventists are vegetarians. So I thought, my business mind was, oh, wow, they're shooting this out through fax machines. I'm going to see if I can get the manager on the phone and see if he'd be interested in my Spice Alive meatless meats and jerky. So I called and he got on the phone right away, and I said, hey, I got a product here I think would really be great for you guys. And he goes, well, come on down. And I did and ate, and it was so good and everything was wonderful. And then and the ABC stores are the Adventist book and health stores. So they have all healthy foods and books. So I met the manager, his name was Stan Jensen. And I told him about Gregory, my husband, who was still in bed at the time. And he said, oh, well, I think your husband, if he's a writer, might like to read this book. This is a hero of our church. I said, okay. So I took it thinking he'll kill me if I bring this home. He's got a desk piled high of so many scripts and books and everything, but it was such a wonderful day. And I came home and I said, hey, have patience. Here's a book this guy wants you to read. And he goes, oh, okay, just put it on the pile. 1 year to that time, I came home and Gregory was sobbing. He had
Yep.
his hands over his face. His head was down. I go, oh my God, coming from the Crosby family and the Williams family. I said, okay, who died? And he goes, no, you got to read this book. And I'm like, are you kidding me? So he said, I read it. This has got to be made. So he said, go out by the pool and read it. So I did. And when I came in, I was crying. And then the next day I had a job on a movie set. It was called Set It Off or something. Anyway, I had to play some girl that got run over and shot down in the street. And the stunt coordinator was Joel Kramer, who did all the Terminators and the big Arnold Schwarzenegger movies. And I said, Joel, what do you want to do with your life? He goes, well, I'm really sick and tired of these stupid action films. I'd like to do something that has spiritual value. I said, really? Come on home after this job. Come back. Gregory will give you something to read. He goes, okay. So then he came back. Gregory handed him the book, and Gregory also handed him the story he wrote. And Joel came in crying. He goes, "This has to be made." So phone calls were made, meetings were made. Everybody loved it, thought it was great. We had money, and it still took 17 years to make this because it was so powerful, so spiritual, so patriotic in the world of Hollywood and people that don't feel the same way we do. Could care less. Who wants to see a movie about a man who wouldn't touch a gun? What a coward. And all these people, if you haven't seen the movie, it was a true story. Most of that movie was true, except for Desmond went on 3 more days. He saved over 400 men's lives without touching a gun. And he lost his Bible, and the guys went back to Okinawa, combed the island, and found the Bible. But in the movie, they gave it to him before he left. He's the only Medal of Honor winner that ever won our country's highest honor without ever touching a gun. And he literally taught those men how to pray before they went into battle. He was a little skinny guy, 5'6", 130 pounds, a force, a monster to reckon with. And Gregory was bound and determined. I mean, he was set. He's different from me. I'm very, like there's parasympathetic and sympathetic. I do 100 million things at the same time. Gregory is very linear. And when he puts his mind on something, his mind was, I have to make this movie. I want Mel Gibson to direct it. It's got to be this way, this way, this way. And he made a promise to Desmond Doss. Desmond didn't want to see the movie. He didn't want to have any money from it. But he made a promise that Gregory could have his life if Gregory did it right. Didn't make it into a Rambo or anything. And Gregory fought. I mean, it became embarrassing, Mike. I mean, people go, yeah, how's your husband doing? Is he still like trying to make that movie? He'll never make it, not with Hollywood today. And Gregory just kept, and Gregory says things that really piss me off. He'll say, it's only in God's time. I'd be like, I'm so sick of that answer. Well, where the hell is God? He goes, you gotta have patience. I'm like, I don't have patience for this. But he always goes, it's in God's time. And 17 years later, money had been raised. Mel Gibson said, okay, because, there was a lot of problems because of that Jewish thing that was all made up. And within 3 months, they had a movie in the can, and there were 6 nominations. I think we won 2 awards. But it's Best Picture, and it's still to this day the #1 grossing faith-based film is Passion of the Christ. #2 is Hacksaw Ridge.
So, Gregory's not on camera here, but Gregory, thank you on behalf of everyone who has seen the film, who's been inspired by it, and who gains hope from the fact that people like you and the people that gathered up to make that movie, that there's hope that inspiring, positive, faith-based movies can be made, and that if you stick to your guns, literally, or don't touch the guns, but stick to your faith, anything and everything can happen. Folks who are watching this, later on, be watching the recording of this through Gregory and Spice's generosity. They connected me with the CEO and the president of the Desmond Doss Foundation. I'm going to be interviewing them on October 5th on this show. And and I'm really excited about that. Also, my show is sponsoring 2 golfers. There'll be 2 veterans, or it'll be a veteran and a first responder. And they will be participating in the annual Desmond Doss Memorial Golf Tournament. That's a fundraising tournament for the foundation. So, stick around if you're watching this on October 5th. Please join us, and you will be able to hear the inspiring story. I'm also going to buy a bunch of copies of Gregory's book, and I'll be giving that book away to the folks who, show up in our audience for the show.
That is such an easy read. And what's so great about that book is that it's the birth of Hacksaw Ridge. It's about Desmond Doss and the early years as a child, how he
Yeah.
got his faith, how, how it all came about, because the guy was like a daredevil. He jumped on ice cream trucks, he broke his leg, he climbed trees, he was climbing mountains. I mean, I say he was a skinny little 5'6" guy, 133 pounds. He was right on the minute. No guy. He said, "Make me a medic. I'll train harder than anyone else." What he performed is a miracle. It really went down in history that what Desmond T. Doss did in the middle of all that gunfire. You got to understand that there was a pillbox of Japanese that were overlooking the beach. So anytime our soldiers came up, they were shot dead, didn't have a chance. And so they took these fishing nets and threw it up, and they had to climb up. And when they got up to the top, 133 men were mowed down with all these Japanese soldiers. And then Desmond Doss was up there. He had to run around, grab them, put morphine, stuff their entrails back into their body, tie them up, lift them up, take them to the edge of the cliff, wrap a rope around his waist and a tree stump, and shimmy them down while bullets were whizzing back and forth. And, Gregory asked him, "How did you do that?" And he said, "Well, I just wanted to get one more. God,
That was his prayer. Please let me save just one more.
yeah,
Please,
I
God,
know.
let me save just one more. Wow.
That's what he did. He said, and all those men who made fun of him and called him a coward and beat him up, broke his nose, knocked his teeth out. And in the middle of the night, they threw ice water on him. And he said, "You might as well put a gun to my head. I'm not leaving." And they came to worship him. They came like that scene where Sam Worthington, who was so great, standing there, and the colonel or somebody said, "What are you waiting for?" And he said, "We're waiting for Doss." Because Doss wouldn't go in the battle unless they all prayed. And here's a guy that not only had to fight the Japanese and fight his own soldiers, he had to fight the government. He said, "You can't kick me out because of my faith in God. Make me a medic." And that was the solution. And they just came to worship him. That's why I'll hook you up with Gary Luttrell, because he knew Desmond Doss personally too.
I would really appreciate that. He's another hero that I would love to have the chance to communicate with. Well, the time has flown, Spice. Again, for folks who are listening and folks who will be watching this on Facebook and later on YouTube, please go to a couple of sites I'm going to give you to find out more about Spice and her programs. If you weren't in the audience and you didn't get this book for free, get the book. Invest in the book. It's an amazing book. You sure you want to live because dying is so much easier.
On Amazon. It's on
Yeah,
Amazon.
yeah, it's on Amazon. Go to Spice Williams-Crosby.com, and then also go to Spice. What is it? Let me get back
There
to
you
that.
go.
Yeah, I put in the chat, spice-of-life.com for these delicious non-meat meats and jerkies and things. I can't wait to get them. I love that stuff.
And on my personal website, which is the Spice Williams-Crosby, are a lot of videos. They had, when I got inducted into the Martial Arts Hall of Fame, they put together a whole series of my life on video, and that's one of them. And then it's got my stunts, It's got certain acting stuff. There's like four videos there. I think I sent you a link to that, but it's a lot of videos, and I think there's some gallery pictures and things like that.
Okay, well, it's that time. Spice, I can't thank you enough, not only for joining us tonight, for all of the lives that you've inspired, all of the people whose health you've helped improve, for all of the hard work you've done. We are so glad you're still on the planet. Because there was certainly a lot of opportunity for that not to happen, and we're so glad that you're here.
That's true. I'm amazed myself.
Yeah.
When you wake up above ground, you're doing.
Yes, it's a good day. So thank you, Spice, for all you do, for all you are. Thank you.
Michael.
We love you. We appreciate you. You're part of our family now, and everyone who's watching this and who will watch this will be as impressed and grateful as I am. And we will do this again. Gregory in the background there. Gregory, thank you so much for all you do, for who you are. Such a beautiful heart, both of you. We appreciate you. We're grateful for you. And we will see you folks again on our next show. We're actually going to have another show next week, another live show. And then on October 5th, we're going to have a very special show with members of the Desmond Doss Foundation. So with that, have a good night. Have a good week. Have a good life. I love you all. I care about you all. You're in my thoughts all the time. That's why we do this show. This is a gift of love and service to you. Please pass on what you get, the gifts that you get from tonight and from all of our shows. Pass that information on to the people you love and care about.
And Michael, I'd like to thank everybody who's listening.
Yes, please.
I don't know who you are out there, but know that spiritually, we're all spiritually connected. So
We are.
anybody that comes on and wanted to listen or in the future listens to me, it's us just sharing, communicating, sharing, which is one of the greatest gifts human beings can have.
Yes, absolutely. And so share this and keep shining that light that is in your heart. Keep shining that brighter. There's a lot of darkness in the world, but darkness is only the absence of light. That's all it is. So if we keep shining that light of love, we keep giving of ourselves, we keep serving each other, we keep looking at the higher possibilities and the higher forces, whatever you want to call it. If you want to call it God, spirit, whatever you want to call it, if that's guiding your life will be an incredible journey. It'll be a miraculous journey. And the most important part of that all is learning to love. Receive that love, give that love, respect and love each other, and we can make a real difference in the world. So
remember, darkness can't hold a single candle, cannot have any force against a single tiny little candle of light. The darkness doesn't exist.
Yeah. Okay, thanks again. And
Right.
you, Spice, you take care. Lots of love to you and your beautiful family.
Love, love, love to everyone. And I'm sure this will meet again.
We will. We will talk again. All right, take care of everybody.
Yeah, everybody have a good night.
Have a good night.